Okay. The original title of this was An Epic Valentine's Day Story, and so I changed the name because obviously it's 6 months later. So it's called An Epic Romance. Prologue. Love is killing Dirk. Every night he dreams of his dream girl. Every night she is beautiful, happy, delightfully amusing, and completely dazzled by Dirk's essential Dirkiness. Every morning Dirk wakes, his heart beating like a machine gun, his stomach churning like an industrial cement mixer, his sweat glands pumping out water like the Three Gorges Dam after a particularly serious monsoon season, and his eyeballs bulging from his skull like some cartoon wolf that has just seen Little Red Riding Hood and her granny and the Three Little Pigs all sitting down to a dinner of chicken stew with a smoking hot lady wolf. If Dream Girl saw him like this, she would run. But Dirk is certain that she will never lay eyes on him. Every morning as he showers off the monsoon sweat and stuffs his eyeballs gingerly back into their respective skull sockets, he says to himself, there's no way my dream girl could possibly exist. And even if she does, she probably lives in another state or country or planet. Which sadly is exactly the problem. You see, we are not alone. There is a galaxy on the other side of the universe, and in this galaxy there is a planet called Zerb, which is inhabited by people a lot like us. There are some differences. They have small furry birds called furds that live in people's homes doing nothing but eating and annoying their owners. We have cats. Other than that, Zerb is pretty much like Earth. On Zerb, Dirk's ideal of womanhood lives. Her name is Cynthia, and she also is afflicted with love and dreams of a perfect man. In her dreams, her man has rippling torso muscles. His bulging biceps strike fear in the hearts of ne'er-do-wells, and one glance from the beaming glory of his rugged handsomeness makes wild animals beg to do his bidding. He builds a house, a farm, and a jacuzzi. Every day he does manly work on their homey homestead while Cynthia frolics among her flowers and chickens and surprisingly well-behaved children. But when she wakes, he is gone. Every morning while she sips her coffee, she says, there's no way such a hunk exists. And even if he does, he probably lives on another planet. Will Dirk meet Cynthia? Will Cynthia be able to overlook the fact that Dirk is pretty average looking and his muscular adventures amount to several firm handshakes every week? Will Dirk be okay with Cynthia's appearance not sucking the eyeballs out of men's heads? Will Cynthia be satisfied with an IKEA desk that Dirk built once and was pretty darn proud of? Will Dirk see the depths of love in Cynthia even when her gaze of rapturous worshipfulness falls on a puppy or a donut? Will this story of love have a happy ending? Of course it will, but it will be a bumpy ride. Chapter 1. It begins like many journeys to the Acma of romance in resignation. Dirk, convinced that his dream girl alone could quench the thirst for love in his tortured soul, and equally convinced that she couldn't possibly exist, has resigned himself to a lifetime of loneliness. Cynthia, too, musing on the alpine heights of male virtue embodied in her dream man, despairs. She wonders sighingly how many Ferds they will find in her house when she dies alone and unloved. But suddenly, the unsmooth course of true love begins to run. Dirk is fired from his job as head pencil inspector for Industrial Implements Incorporated when Brad, the assistant head pencil inspector, swaps a 6B for a 6H in a batch of pencils shipped to Hobby Lobby. The error is discovered when a customer complains that her lines are too dark. Hoblob demands a sacrifice. Dirk's name on the inspected by label seals his fate. As Brad chortles and rubs his greasy hands together, Dirk is escorted off the premises. He wanders in darkness. Meanwhile, Cynthia discovers a blob of brown mold in her shower. It grows on the wall just below the shower head, and nothing she can do will clean it off. Every day it grows larger, and so does Cynthia's unease. Finally, on her way home from work one day, she buys a bottle of Blob Be Gone, a popular Zerbian cleaning product. Got a blob? The advertising guy says. Well, not anymore. Okay, the Zerbians are not good at marketing, but other than that, they are just like us. Cynthia, determined to end the mold once and for all, enters the bathroom, but the blob has grown eyeballs and she faints. Chapter 2. Dirk returns to an awareness of his surroundings. It is early morning and he is squatting on the side of a dirt road wearing only an orange bedsheet. A battered wooden bowl in his hands and a feeling of bottomless hunger tell him that he has become a Buddhist monk. Huh, he says, looking around. He appears to be in a rural Asian town. Then the ground shakes. A subterranean boom brings Dirk to his feet. He turns and sees a mountain dominating the landscape. High atop the mountain, barely visible in the snow-clad crevices, sits a monastery, and someone up there is beating the mother of all gongs. Dirk begins to climb. Fortunately, there is a path, and just before sunset, an exhausted Dirk collapses on the doorstep of the monastery. The huge iron doors open and two orange-clad monks emerge and bring Dirk inside. The entryway is enormous, ornate, and dominated by a giant statue of the Buddha opposite the doors. Dirk smells incense and hears silence. His nearly frozen bare feet feel a deep vibration in the floor. "What?" he says. "What is the essence of beingness?" says one of the monks in a resonant, soothing tone. "Whatness is beingness," says the other monk. "He that seeks whatness is seeking whyness." The two monks bow toward the Buddha, and Dirk can feel the vibration in the floor intensify. "Okay," says Dirk. "Okayness is purity of being. Okayness is bliss. Blissness is illusion. Illusioning postulates okayness." There are bows and vibrations. "I just kind of want to sort out where I am," says Dirk. "Seeking is postponing. Postponingness is a board with two nails. Construction." There are more bows and vibrations. "You're not helping," says Dirk. "Helpfulness precedes the omelet of being. An omelet of cheese. 2 eggs. Bows and vibrations. Dirk can think of nothing beyond the pleading of his stomach for something edible. "Look," he says. "Looking is seeing on steroids. The eyeball muscles of cheating. Tisk, tisk." Words form in Dirk's mind, along with the thought that articulation will only lead to more useless zenity. He pleads silently with outstretched hands, but the two monks are gone. And before he can admire their alacrity, he feels the vibrations in the floor intensify tenfold, and hears a deep humming sound fill the air. He looks at the Buddha and sees the eyes glow green and blue, then red. Then they explode in a swirling rainbow of changing light, and Dirk is drawn into a kaleidoscopic tunnel. "Great," Dirk says. "Sucked into an interdimensional portal. Just great." Chapter 3. Cynthia wakes to the sound of voices. Inky blackness surrounds her. All she can sense is the chair she is sitting on and the voices. "Spletnar will be pleased. Yes, the offering of the female will be most suitable. Yes, a proper offering being female and all. Very suitable for Spletnar, I mean. Of course. Suitableness of offering is a Spletnar priority. Prioritize Spletnar, suitable offering. Yes. Boredom rapidly replacing terror, Cynthia speaks. "I can hear you, you know." "Holy Spletnar, she's awake. What do we do?" You can start by turning on a light," says Cynthia, in what she hopes is a stern voice. "Light, yes, she has the eyeballs." "Oh, yes, the eyeballs. Receptors of light." "Yes, most suitable for light recepting." "Yes, suitableness of light recepting." "Lights!" shouts Cynthia, and there are lights. But there is not much to see. She's in a gray cylindrical room. On the curving wall opposite, there are two vaguely undulating brown blobs that look familiar. Beyond that, and the chair she occupies, the room is empty. "Oh, she has the loudness," says one of the blobs. "Oh, too much the loudness," says the other. "Most unsuitable. Very, very unsuitable. Perhaps to share the light receptors." Yes, I have them here. Oh, wait, I have misplaced my receptors. No matter, I will propel you my extra." Cynthia watches as two eyeballs appear in one of the blobs. One of them oozes over to the second blob. Yes, most suitable. Yes, recepting the light. But Spletnar will be unpleased by loss of eyeball light receptors. Most unsuitable is Spletnar's unpleasedness. Like that time with those bandex. Yes, most unpleasant and want of suitableness was the spandex misfortune. Yes, remember Dorfknob's space structure? Dorfknob, nerf. Yes, memorable unpleasantness. But not Dorfknobs. Oh, no, snurf. Cynthia is not amused. Shut up and tell me where I am, she shouts. Oh, the loudness, most unsuitable loudness. Cynthia stands and quickly grabs one of the eyeballs. Oh, the structures, ow, most unsuitable. Well, Cynthia demands, threatening the eyeball with a menacing glare. We are splebs from the planet Splebnar. We are taking you to our master. Great, says Cynthia. Abducted by aliens. Just great. As it turns out, being abducted by aliens after the initial thrill is pretty boring. Her captors having run out of conversation and there being nothing else to do, Cynthia lays down and sleeps. Naturally, she dreams of her dream man, but now his bulging physique is draped in an orange sheet. Odd, but still attractive. Dirk, hovering in the weird space between dimensions, is overcome by fatigue. He also dreams, and he also sleeps and dreams. His dream woman hasn't changed. She still gazes at him adoringly, but now she's holding an eyeball in her hand, and it is also gazing at him adoringly. Odd and a little disturbing. Chapter 4. In every human mind, there is something that operates like a separate individual, telling them things they don't want to hear. Some people call it conscience because it has a high squeaky voice like a cartoon cricket and tells them when they're doing something immoral. Don't slurp your soup, you disgusting barbarian, it says. That's immoral. And I should know because I'm a sentient insect. The real name of this disembodied voice is the irritating adult, or IA. And in some people, it claims a lot more mental territory than the memory of proper table manners. In Dirk, the IA has taken over most of his automatic thought processes, including how to respond when he encounters the unknown. Thus, Dirk has someone to talk to when the interdimensional portal suddenly closes, and he is hurled into darkness and slams into something large and hairy that says, oof. What is that? Says Dirk nervously, poking the hairy thing that just said oof. An enormous fur-covered monster, answers Dirk's IA. Really? Yes, it has 8 arms, each bigger than a full-grown gorilla's. I don't believe you. Suit yourself. But when it grabs you and starts tearing you to pieces with its super pointy claws, now you're just making stuff up. Cross my heart and hope to die, which we will, because it also has dozens of razor-sharp teeth and a mouth big enough to bite your entire head off in one gruesome chomp. No way. And it's hungry. Dirk prods the fur with elevated caution, but nothing happens. In fact, the fur is soft and warm and is producing a soothing rumbling sound. A wave of sleepiness overwhelms Dirk. Well, if it eats me in my sleep, I probably won't feel a thing. Oh, it'll hurt. The monster will start with your arms and legs and munch away for hours. But at this point, Dirk is too tired to care and drifts back to sleep. Cynthia wakes in a field of flowers. She senses immediately that this is a field of flowers on an alien planet because all the flowers have tiny mouths and they're all talking to each other. She listens for a while, but it is never clear which flower is talking because they all sound identical. Oh, feel that breeze, Barbara. Oh yeah, good breeze thou in there. Not like that breeze of last Tuesday. There are many murmurs of floral assent. Oh my heavens, that was some breeze that was. Almost a wind, you might call it. Oh yeah, a brooder Ron, you know. Oh heavens, that's awful. Still, he was getting up there, you know. Yeah, lived a good life, 70 days, as the good book says. Yeah, yep, many floral assents. Cynthia decides it's time to introduce herself. She stands, but before she can say a word, there is a verbal panic among the flowers. Ah, what's that? A bleg, one of them horrible blegs that runs all over and smooshes things. Ah! Oh yeah, remember that time when Bill and Edna got smooshed? Ah! Oh yeah, terrible. There are many floral murmurs of grim assent. Cynthia speaks in what she hopes are soothing tones. Please, it's okay, I'm not a bleg, I'm her, Cynthia. It occurs to Cynthia that introducing herself to sentient, sightless flowers is not the strangest thing that has happened to her recently. Oh, well, did you hear that, Barbara? It's not a bleg, it's just a Syntho snack. Cynthia corrects. Oh, of course, dearie, Cynthia, with a C. Whatever you like, dearie. So, what brings you to our neck of the woods? 2 brown blobs with eyeballs in a spaceship, I think. Not ringing a bell. Did they talk a lot? Oh, yes. And were they real worried about things being suitable? Yes, that's them. Oh, dearie, that's the splebs. They're always taking folk from other planets and bringing them here. Ducting, I think they call it. No, Barbara, it's ab something. Ab crunches? I don't think they exercise that much. Well, they ought to, you know. Oh, I know. Remember Howard? Oh, yeah, I did them stretching exercises. Live to 100. Proof's in the pudding right there, don't you know? Cynthia feels the need to interrupt. So how about them splebs, eh? Oh, dearie, they're just the worst. Bringing folks and things and just dropping them, don't you know? So rude. They brought the legs, you know. Do tell, says Cynthia. What happened to them? Don't know. Couldn't tell you. Smooshed a bunch and moved on. Never heard of them again. So long ago. 10, maybe 12 days. That long, you think? Oh, yeah, it was just before Susie's youngest got sprouted. Little Spike? Yeah, such a tiny sprout back then. Oh, don't you know? And now listen to them. They grow so fast. Cynthia again feels the need to direct the conversation. So, them splebs, they just drop folks off and disappears, eh? Oh, no, dearie, they stay around for sometimes the whole day talking about Splebnar and such. Splebnar will be pleased. You sound just like him, Barb. Is he? Cynthia asked, throat constrictingly. I mean, Splebnar, does he like the folks they bring? Oh, couldn't tell ya. Nah, never met the fella. Seems nice, though. Oh, yeah, just the nicest that could be. Keeps them splebs out of mischief. Gives them something to do. Cynthia walks away. The relief at not being the immediate entree for an alien god's sacrificial supper is overwhelmed by a tidal wave of loneliness. She walks along a dirt path through tall grasses and lone trees. Or maybe they're all tall hair follicles, she says to herself. Some gigantic subterranean monstrosity is lying there, growing fur up through the dirt, waiting to devour unsuspecting alien creatures dropped here by unfeeling blobs. She begins to sob. These trees might be some kind of Tolkienish ent creature, sleeping until I wake them up accidentally, and they get angry and tear me to pieces, so I'll shut up. Now she's really sobbing. Maybe that's not a puffy white cloud that looks like a little ducky. Well, now it looks like a little piggy or a puppy, so it's probably just a fluffy white cloud. But it doesn't care. She sinks down next to a large rock and cries herself to sleep. Chapter 6. At that same moment, Dirk is dreaming of the love of his life. But this time she is weeping. She is troubled and alone and vulnerable. Dirk suddenly realizes that he has manly instincts. In the dream, he rises to his feet, shouts, "I will save you!" tangles his orange sheet around his legs, falls to the ground, desperate not to expose himself, and suffers enough bruising to make mobility impossible for at least a few hours. Cynthia also dreams. She is alone on a wind-swept heath. Dark clouds approach. There is no shelter in sight. She sees lightning and thunder crashes a second later. "Help me," she cries. Suddenly a figure appears on the horizon. He is shouting something and running towards her, but his orange robe gets tangled around his legs. He goes down hard, holding the frayed ends of orange cloth around his hips. Suddenly he rises, an enraged hedgehog biting at his buttocks. He runs and disappears, diving into some thick bushes. There are sounds of screaming, which might be human or hedgehog. He is up again, fleeing in panic. A large snake lunges at him from the bush. He climbs a rock. He slips and falls from sight with a yell that brings tears to Cynthia's eyes. Tears of hysterical laughter. The storm is gone. Chapter 7. Dirk wakes, but this time he is more awake than he has ever been in his life. He has been reborn. He feels life like liquid strength flowing into his body. His senses are attuned to things beyond the material. His mind sees instantly the harmonious solution of humanity's most complex problems. Peace settles like eternal oneness in his innermost soul. She is here. Somewhere, on this planet, the woman whose love is life itself is living nearby, and he will find her. "I will find her," he says. "You will die," says his IA. Nonsense. She is on this planet. There is air to breathe. Dirk inhales deeply just to prove the point, and looks around at the gray rocky walls, and light to see by, and I'm leaning against a warm brown furry beast that is going to eat you. Stop that. Kill you painfully, then messily devour your agony-infested carcass. Hey, I'm trying to be an optimist here. After that, you will die of thirst, then starvation, then exposure. First, you'll freeze to death, then overheat, and if it rains, you will drown. Thanks. Anything else? Yes, you will fall off a cliff. You will be crushed in an avalanche. You will eat poisonous plants. Venomous reptiles will bite you. You will be stung by a bee. Sorry I asked. You're allergic to bee stings, so you'll die. Thanks. You're welcome. Any idea on what to do right now? Well, in practical matters, I'm best at inspecting pencils. Dirk's optimism is wearing down fast, like a 9B pencil drawing Black Beauty in her later years when she put on a few hundred pounds. Fortunately, the brown creature next to him, sensing a lull in Dirk's inner conversation, stands up. Dirk also stands and finds himself looking down at two large, fascinating eyes set near the top of a 4-foot mound of brown fur. Two furry appendages emerge from either side of the mound and wrap around Dirk's waist. Well, says Dirk, I don't think it will messily devour me. This feels more like a hug. It's seeing if you'll fit in its cooking pot, says Dirk's IA. Nonsense. See the mistiness in the eyes? Hear that soft purring sound? Because you feel delicious. The creature, Dirk has decided to call it Oof, releases him and disappears around the corner of the cave. Dirk just has time to adjust his sheet to cover himself more manageably when Oof returns, holding a bowl filled with brown goo. Dirk's three thoughts, that looks horrible, that smells good, and I want some more, are simultaneous. 4 bowls later, Dirk's hunger is diminishing and his optimism is recovering. Ha! At least I won't starve, he announces to his IA. He is fattening you up, it responds. You don't get optimism, do you? Chapter 8. Unlike Dirk's, Cynthia's IA is kind and gentle. Wake up, sweetie, it says. It's your first day on your new planet. You don't want to be late. Says Cynthia. Meow, meow, princess. There is so much to do. Why, we could look for food and water so we don't die. And maybe build some kind of shelter later on. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Go away. Oh, come now. You know you'll like it once you get going. Why, think of all the new friends you're going to make. Like those 2 nice moldy things with eyeballs. Suddenly, Cynthia is wide awake. 2 familiar brown blobs, each with 1 eye, undulate 3 feet from the rock she is leaning against. You, she accuses. The 2 blobs retreat slightly, and the frequency of their undulations increases. Ah, watch out, Herbnar, warns one. The structures. Oh yes, most unsuitable the structures, says the other. My light receptor pain nodules begin to manifest. Look, you 2, begins Cynthia. She has a picture in her mind of a stern and confident Cynthia telling these 2 cowering aliens how wrong it is to kidnap someone, demanding that they return her to Zerb immediately, compensate her with cash or gold or jewels or a free trip to somewhere nice. But she is weak from hunger and exhausted by an overdose of adrenaline. Also, the dominant emotion she has for her abductors has progressed from shock to fear to irritation and is now bordering on amusement. So what she actually says is, you guys ever heard of breakfast? Ha! Flebnar, I know this one, says the blob with the pain nodules. Of course, Herbnar, all sentient beings manifest the knowing of breakfast. You did not manifest. Yes, I did. You are the lacking of manifesting. Well, you are unsuitable. You are unsuitable. Your progenitor is unsuitable. Food, yells Cynthia. Oh, the loudness, says Flebnor as he and Herbnar flutter backwards several feet. Oh, the unsuitableness of auditory overload. Sorry, says Cynthia, lowering her voice, but I really need something to eat. Of course, Splebnar is prioritizing the sustaining of the female, says Herbnar, as a wooden bowl emerges from amidst his undulating body. Cynthia takes the bowl dubiously. Behind you is the substance of sustaining. It is most suitable. Cynthia looks back, and from a small hole in the rock, brown goo is emerging. She catches some in the bowl and sniffs it warily. The smell is not unappetizing, and after tasting a bit with her fingers, she gingerly finishes the bowlful and then another. That's better, she says. Suitable is probably the best thing you can say about it. Oh, and my name is Cynthia, not the female. Cynthia? No, Cynthia. Oh, with a C. Exactly. So, what do you call this brown stuff? We just call it goo, says Splebnor. It sustains the life on Splebnor, says Herbnar. So I'm confused. Is Splebnar the planet or your master? Splebnar is our planet and our master. Your planet gives you orders to bring things here from other planets. The two Splebs undulate excitedly and move closer to Cynthia. Herbnar says, yes, yes, you see, Splebnar, she manifests the suitableness of our beingness. Of course, she is most suitable. Well, thanks, I guess, but what's the point? Why am I here? Because of the goo. Yes, Splebnar desires variation. All beings on Splebnar sustained by the goo. There have been complaints. I can imagine. You guys need some egg salad or something. The Splebs undulate faster, and the brown colors are tinged with yellow and orange. Yes, yes, they shout in unison. Splebnar is most ecstatic with the making of egg salad, says Splebnar. The Cynthia will manifest the extreme of suitableness by the making of the egg salad, adds Herbnar. After everything she has experienced recently, a sentient planet does not surprise Cynthia, but her mind struggles to comprehend a sentient planet that needs egg salad. She stares at the Splebs in stunned silence for a full minute, then she laughs. Well, she says, it's better than growing old with a bunch of furds. Chapter 9. A month goes by, and every day of that month, Dirk has come to the little plateau at the mouth of the portal cave to fret. The view from the spot is magnificent. The cave is high up the side of a mountain, and from there Dirk can see forested hills, grassy valleys, waterfalls and streams, and distant snowy mountain peaks. But in his soul, he might as well be Frodo looking out at Mordor from the side of Mount Doom. What am I gonna do, Sam? Oof. Oof, says Oof. Dirk has learned many things in the last 30 days. One of them is that his diminutive hairy companion has a single word vocabulary, which he uses to communicate a surprising variety of things. Yeah, I know, says Dirk, I know, but if I don't go out searching, I'll never find her. Oof. Now you sound like my IA. Oof. Easy for you to say. You've never been in love. Oof. Really? I just assumed. Oof. No, nothing like that. Just that you're all alone here and oof. Wow, I had no idea. Tell me about her. Oof. She sounds perfect, sniffles Dirk. Oof. Now you're making me cry. Oof. Stop. Please stop. I was wrong. I'm sorry. You do understand. Oof. Dirk leans into the furry hug and all is forgiven. He gets up and returns to the cave. Another thing Dirk has learned is that the brown goo is bland but miraculous. It emerges from a hand-sized hole in the cave wall and pools up in a natural depression below in the cave floor. What it is, even Oof could not guess, but it supplies all their food needs. Dirk scoops up 2 bowls of goo and returns to the cave mouth. He and Oof sit on the edge of their little plateau and watch. So this sign you keep talking about, what'll it look like? Oof. Okay, sorry I asked. Dirk slurps some goo. How long? Oof. Hey, I'm just trying to make conversation. Oof. Okay, I'll tell you about Goldilocks and the 3 bears, and it's your turn. Oof. Really? I don't think I've heard that one. Oof. Right. Once upon a time, there were 3 bears. Oh, wait, I hear the portal. One other thing Dirk has learned is that the interdimensional portal opens and closes on a fairly regular basis. Oof learned this long ago and always positions himself in the spot where the traveler, flung out of the portal, will land softly on Oof and not harshly on the cave floor. Dirk stands next to Oof and waits for the spinning lights to fling something out. It isn't long before a thin, older Asian man tumbles from the weirdness and lands on Oof. Oof, says Oof. The man stands, placing his palms together in front of his face. He bows slightly and says, Oofness is the furriness of being. Then he reaches into the folds of his orange robes and brings forth a box of matches, which he hands to Dirk. The matches of lightingness manifest the flashlight, interrupts Dirk. He and Oof grab the monk and throw him back into the portal just as it closes. After the first few visits, Dirk learned that conversation with the monks was pointless, but a single word often resulted in the next visitor bringing something useful with him. Already, Dirk has a pair of scissors that he uses to keep his hair and beard in rough order, a pair of shorts and a t-shirt, a machete, a Chinese novel, possibly The Hobbit, and now a hot bath, says Dirk, holding the matches reverently. Chapter 10. Cynthia also has learned many things in her 30 days on Splebnar. For one, it has become obvious that the planet is obsessed with nurturing the creatures that call her home. She is mightily enabled in that pursuit by the power to transport her splebs anywhere in the universe almost instantly. The splebs gather the things that Splebnar desires, and she transports them back to herself. Unfortunately, Cynthia has also learned that the splebs, while helpful, are pretty clueless. I need a chicken, Cynthia told them on one occasion. Several, actually. They have feathers and are about your size and... Oh, the feathers! Yes, we are highly managing the gathering of the chicken materials, says Hermar. Yes, chickening is a spleb priority. We apply the suitableness of the Cynthia's desire, affirmed Flebnor, and they disappeared, only to return the next day with a creature that Cynthia had never seen, having 3 eyes and 1 chicken-like foot that it used to hop around the yard. That's not a chicken, said Cynthia, wondering what planet the thing came from. Chickens have 2 feet. Yes, the duality of lower appendages. We shall meet the suitableness of desire. And again they were off, only to return with a parakeet. Chickens are bigger, We have offended in suitableness of size desire. That's when they came back with the first goat. No, feathers, remember? Said Cynthia through her face palm. Feathers of forgetting, snurf, snurf. Not my fault, says Hermar, glaring at Flebnor. How am I going to explain mayonnaise, groaned Cynthia. Fortunately, the enthusiasm of the splebs does not flag, so over the last 30 days, Cynthia has managed to have them collect the elements for a comfortable cottage, a working kitchen, and the ingredients for her very popular egg salad. Chapter 11. That is how Dirk receives the sign his soul is longing for. Oof, says Oof the next day. Whoa, calm down, compadre. You're not making sense. Take a deep breath. Talk slowly. Oof. What? Show me. Oof leads Dirk to the cave wall where the goo emerges. But now a chunky whitish substance is pouring into the cave floor depression. Dirk reaches for a sample and smells it appreciatively. A delicate aroma of mustard, onions, pickles, and he puts a bit on his tongue. Is that paprika? Several mouthfuls later, he exults. That is egg salad. He scoops a bowlful and comments between bites. And really good egg salad. Oof, says Oof after consuming his own sample. No way. Cinnamon? That would be bold. Maybe it's cumin. But what does it mean? Oof. Of course. Dirk slaps his forehead. It's her egg salad. Oh, the perfection of her being. How does this help me to find her, though? Oof inhales the aroma of the egg salad deeply, then walks to the mouth of the cave, Dirk following. Outside, Oof sniffs from one edge of the plateau to the other, then suddenly points in a direction. Oof, he says. Oof, you're a genius. Quickly, Dirk throws all his collected valuables in the old orange sheet, while Oof makes a pile of soft leaves for the portable visitors to fall on. Dirk hoists the makeshift bag to his shoulder, and he and Oof hike down the mountain, following the aromatic egg salad. They travel for days, stopping at the rocky outcrops that supply food. Whenever they encounter the brown goo, they backtrack to find the egg salad. In this way, they travel unerringly toward her. Chapter 12. Success, elates Cynthia, tasting her latest batch of egg salad. I think Splebnar will be pleased. Oh, Splebnar says you have manifested the peak of suitableness, says Hermnar. And this batch is even better. I think I perfected it. Ah, shouts Flebnor suddenly. There are beings. Cynthia rolls her eyes and gestures toward the dozens of creatures that make up the bizarre circus in her front yard. There are always beings, Flebnor. No, these are non-splebbed beings. Ah! Well, how can that be? Asked Cynthia, looking out the kitchen window for some fresh weirdness. But her eyes suddenly fix on a familiar form. It's a man, she breathes. She stares in silence for what feels like an eternity. Could it be him? She gasps. Dirk and Oof, emerging from the trees, stop to survey the small clearing. Suddenly, Dirk's heart pounds as he spies Cynthia's cottage. He is frozen for what feels like an eternity, except for his heart, which suddenly leaps from his body and stomps out a credible drum solo on a nearby tree stump when Cynthia opens the front door. She pauses there. She runs her fingers through her hair, thinking she must look quite unsuitable. Then she sees the wild light shining from Dirk's eyes, and all worries about her appearance are driven from her mind. She waves hesitantly. Dirk waves back and gulps. He walks dreamlike towards her, trips on a snevbenurg, a turtle-like creature from the planet Snev, falls on a goat, which turns and butts him into a flock of chickens. The rooster attacks, and Dirk jumps up into a bebble hive, a type of harmless but annoying insect from the planet Y, which sends Dirk flailing about the yard until he hits a tree. It is him, Cynthia insults, and runs to where he's fallen. He manages to get up and brush off his shorts. Hi, he says. I'm Oof, says Oof. Yeah, Dirk, I'm Dirk. I'm glad I finally found you. Cynthia, says Cynthia. Likewise, I'm certain. There's an awkward handshake and a long silence until the splebs undulate over. We are splebs of Splebnor, says Herbnor. Dirk, and this is Oof, of a cave over that way, says Dirk, gesturing vaguely behind him. How did you manifest on this planet? An interdimensional portal. Dirk looks into Cynthia's eyes. You? Cynthia stares back into Dirk's. Aliens. Abducted by aliens, she says, waving vaguely at the splebs. Oh, says Dirk. There's a long pause. You're gonna get that, I suppose. Yeah, laughs Cynthia nervously. Hungry? Oh yeah, says Dirk. Oof, says Oof. You got that right, Oof. The egg salad rules. Cynthia blushes. I'm glad you like it. I've got a new recipe that I think is even better. Well, let's try it out. They walk toward the cottage. Oof thinks you put a little cinnamon in it. No, but that sounds bold. Actually, I crushed some dried oregano. And so the course of true love, not smooth and sometimes long to the point of spanning the whole universe, finally runs smack into itself. Do Dirk and Cynthia live happily ever after? Of course they do. They are married and have many children, happy children, and build a wonderful little village with many jacuzzis on the happy planet of Splebnar. The Splebs locate Oof's long-lost love, and she and Oof create a wonderful furry little village on Splebnar also. Cynthia goes on to perfect potato salad and many other delightful dishes that Splebnar happily distributes to all the happy creatures on her happy self. The end.
Magnum